Hello everybody and welcome back to Southern Fried Crime, the true crime channel with the country twist. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and click on the little bell icon to be notified when new videos post. Sit back and get yourself a little something to eat and drink while I tell you about the life and death of Cherry Walker. Cherry Walker was a young woman living with intellectual disabilities. She lived with her father and stepmother near Tyler, Texas. Cherry's stepmother worked with her so that Cherry would eventually be able to live on her own with minimal help. When she got her own apartment, she was excited to be living on her own. Cherry's stepmother had found a cute little studio apartment near where the parents lived, so they would be able to help and be there in case Cherry needed anything. Cherry began to become more independent. She learned how to wash her own clothes and go to the bank all on her own. Cherry learned how to cook on her own, but she also liked to eat out. She really loved Papa John's pizza and Church's chicken. A favorite pastime of Cherry's was singing, and she really loved to sing in her father's church. Though mentally disabled, Cherry did do well living on her own and could manage with help. Cherry really liked to help people. One of her neighbors was an elderly woman, and Cherry would always help her clean her house because the woman had trouble getting around. Cherry also loved children. She would babysit for little to no money, and this is how the past of Cherry Walker and Kimberley Cargill came about. Kimberly Cargill was the polar opposite of Cherry Walker. She had a history of assaulting people. Cargill would be sweet as sugar one minute and be mad as a hornet the next, and it would be usually over nothing. She was a manipulative, mean, and controlling woman. Her own sister called her clever and manipulative and said that Cargill acted like a devil. Cargill was so evil that one time she tried to kill her own mother. Michael West was Kimberly Cargill's first husband. They had one son together. He said that Cargill's anger was explosive and extreme. She would throw anything within arm's length at him. Glasses and knives were things that were frequently thrown at her husband. West said that Kimberly once drove the car into a garage wall trying to run him over. She once told a judge that her mother was dead, even though her mother was in fact still alive. West said Kimberly always blamed her actions on something or somebody else. West said Cargill was a clever, manipulative, and controlling woman. Michael West filed for divorce from Kimberly Cargill. At first, Cargill had custody of their son, but Cargill soon became abusive towards her son. The son went to live with West because of this. Kimberly Cargill had supervised visits with her son. When the son was 12 years old, he told his father he no longer wanted to see his mother because his mother was so abusive towards him. West and Cargill's son saw shrink from the ages of 4 to 14 because of the way Cargill treated him. West also said that Cargill would make up stories that he was abusive towards her, even though he never laid a hand. West had to do 6 months of probation once for a false assault allegation that Cargill had made against him. West remarried after he divorced from Cargill. Cargill was mad when West moved on from her. When West's new wife became pregnant, Cargill was mad as a wet hen, and she kicked West's wife in the stomach in order to induce early labor. Thankfully, it did not work, and Cargill was charged with assault and was put on probation for 1 year. Kimberly Cargill was abusive towards her sons. She had 4 sons by 4 different men. In one of her son's 3rd grade photos, the son had red marks on his neck from where Cargill had tried to choke him. 3 of Cargill's 4 sons said that she would choke, kick, and hit them for no reason. The sons said they feared for their lives. She would lock her sons in their bedrooms with no food and nothing to drink. Kimberly would also not let them out to use the bathroom. If the boys were to have a restroom accident, then Cargill would beat them with a belt or whatever else she could get her hands on. Cargill's sons always had excuses for their bruises. If Cargill's sons made less than a 96 on their assignments, then she would demand more work for them from the teachers. All the boys were good students, and so most of the time the teachers would refuse the boys extra work. This would make Cargill angry, and she would go home and beat her sons for not making good enough grades. Her sons did not like to get or give hugs because they were never shown that type of love from their mother. The boys' teachers noticed they were bruised and cuts. Kimberly always made excuses as to why her sons were always bruised and beaten. She was so skilled at manipulation that she was able to make up excuses for why her sons were injured, and people would believe them. Her sons were so afraid of their mother they dared not turn her in for the abuse she doled out to them. In 2010, Kimberley Cargill was facing felony injury to a child charges for injuries that her youngest son had received. This was the son that Cherry Walker had babysat for. Cherry got a subpoena to testify on the side of Kimberley Cargill's ex-husband. Being that Cherry was mentally disabled, she did not know what a subpoena was, and so she showed it to Cargill. Cargill told Cherry to just ignore it and that she didn't have to go. But Cherry Walker had a caretaker, and the caretaker informed Cherry that she would have to go to court and testify to what she knows or didn't know. This did not go over well with Kimberley Cargill. Cargill told Cherry that she would hide her so that she would not have to testify in court. Cargill did not want Cherry to testify because Cherry was privy to what was going on in the Cargill home. Also, it would look bad on Cargill that she had someone who was so mentally disabled looking after her son. An unidentified body was found face down and burned. Not much could be told about the body other than it was a black female. Scattered around the body were some coffee creamers that were taken into evidence. There were no clues to the woman's identity, but the police held a press conference and released information about the deceased woman. They received a call from Cherry Walker's father. Cherry was very close to her father, and it was Father's Day. And Cherry missed her normal call to her father and did not attend her Father's Day service that week at church. It was then that the body which had been found was identified as Cherry Diane Walker. Cherry had been asphyxiated and set on fire. Cherry's caregiver informed the police about the situation going on with Kimberley Cargill. The police ran Kimberley Cargill's DNA on the coffee creamers which were found scattered around Cherry's body, and it was a conclusive match. Cargill confessed that Cherry had had a seizure and died. She said that she had panicked and dumped Cherry's body on the side of the road and set it on fire to burn away any evidence that might possibly be on Cherry's body. But it was already proven that Cherry had been asphyxiated. Kimberley Cargill went to trial and was found guilty and sentenced to death. DA Matt Bingham said it best. Cherry Walker had a life, and it was hers, and she was living it. The defendant took away that life. I've never come across another defendant like Kimberley Cargill to have someone so narcissistic, someone that is so manipulative and cunning. She is the first and hopefully the last. Cherry Walker was a sweet and loving woman. I could tell you all the great things I found out about her in researching this case, but I will let Ruan Walker, Cherry's stepmother, be the one to close out this case. Miss Cargill, Cherry loved you, and she loved your son. She didn't deserve the horrible thing you did. You took her away from people that loved her. When I saw my baby in the morgue, her eyebrows singed, you took away my memories of her. I could not give her that beautiful pink dress. All I had was a black body bag. There are no winners, but there is justice. God gave her life, and it matters. Every life matters. We have accepted what God has allowed to happen. He allowed this to happen for a reason, and we accept that. We don't hate you because we are not made of hate, but we do have love and pity and compassion for you. That's all for today's case. Please remember to like and subscribe for more true crime content. Goodbye.